Alright, I got my Himiway Cruiser delivered the other day and I'm ready to unbox it and assemble it. Alright, so first thing I'm going to need is a utility knife or scissors to open that box up. Looks like it's packed really well. And it's almost completely assembled, so it shouldn't take very long to put it all together. So at first glance, I don't see the instructions, so let's lay it down and pull everything out of the box. I see a box in the box. Alright, so what we've got in there. Hat. I don't know if I'm going to wear that. We have the bike tools, including the Allen wrenches that I think we're going to need to assemble the bike. The front axle. Some hardware. Instruction manual. This, I think I've seen in some videos, this is a derailleur guard. You're going to need those pedals. In this box, the headlight. I'm guessing this is the charger. The owner's manual. So we've got our product specs: 48 volt Samsung lithium battery, 750 watt high speed brushless geared motor, LCD display, 7-speed Shimano derailleur, 20 mile per hour top speed, but I think that can be altered. It says 35 to 60 mile range, 5 level pedal assist, half twist throttle, 6 to 9 hour charging time, rider heights 5'3" to 6'4". I'm 6'3", so this should be great for me. We've got a picture with all of the parts. Tires are 26 by 4, motor 750 watts, wheelbase is 45 inches, total length 75 inches, handlebar reach 46.5. There's a safety checklist. Then we get to the assembly instructions. Alright, so step 1, install the handlebars, but I think they skipped a step because what you need to do is get all the packing materials off of the bike. All the styrofoam, all the zip ties, all the tape. So let's go ahead and do that next. Alright, I'm going to stand the bike up and install the handlebars. Alright, I'm going to use the tool that they sent to loosen the handlebar bracket. So that uses the third largest Allen wrench. Bracket that holds the handlebars goes between all the wires, but the wires hanging out the front. I'm going to leave this on loose until I know exactly what angle I want those handlebars. Okay, when I press the battery button, all the lights light up. And I'm not sure if that means that it's completely charged because it includes the empty light. So I'm gonna assume that means it came fully charged. Okay, next step is to get the front wheel on. And so you're gonna need the wheel, and you're gonna need the quick skewer with the springs on it. And if you're gonna take off the nut at the end, and if the springs accidentally fall off, just take a look at how they're on there. They're both pointing towards the middle. All right, so one side has the thumb nut and one side has the quick release. And the quick release side is going to be on the brake side. So let's get that tire. So the first issue that I'm having, hopefully the only issue, is it's very minor. It's just the headlight. There's a lot of hardware in here, and it's not very clear which hardware is used to attach the headlight. So I'm going to come back to do the headlight after everything else is assembled. Okay, for the front wheel, we're going to take off this guard. And this gets turned so that the disc brakes are lined up with the calipers, which is on the left side of the fork. So to remove all the packaging, this is your first electric bike. First, one of the things you'll notice is just how heavy it is compared to a standard bike. This is probably 70 plus pounds compared to a standard bike, which is 30, 35 pounds. All right, so the brakes can go in here. And so the disc brake should slide into the brake caliper. And then the axle for the skewer. All right, let's put the kickstand down while we're working on that front tire. So one thing you don't want to do with any bike with disc brakes is squeeze the brakes when the disc is not in the calipers, because you're going to have a hard time separating those brakes again. So thumb nut comes out. One of those springs comes out with it, and this skewer goes in all the way through. Spring points towards the middle, and then the thumb nut. And I'm going to spin that until it's pretty tight. And then I'm going to close the quick release. Little tighter. There we go. Everything looks like it lines up nicely. So the next step in the directions says to inflate the tires. I think I'm going to finish assembling the bike, and then I'll come back and inflate the tires. Okay, so the next step is to install the pedals. There is a left and right pedal, and it's important which pedal's left and which are right, because the threads are opposite on right and left pedals. The left pedal turns counterclockwise, the right pedal turns clockwise, and then I'm going to get a crescent wrench to finish tightening them. The bike tool actually comes with a crescent wrench. This one's not going to be super easy to use, but it is there. And this is a 15mm crescent wrench. I don't have 15mm handy right now, but I do have a 5/8, which is close. So I'm just going to use that to tighten. So now that I got all the packaging off the handlebars, I noticed that I kind of put it on backwards. So I'm going to reverse that right now. All right, I'm going to take the seat out completely. I like a really tall seat on my bike. So line that up. I'm going to need to tighten the screw. Make sure I have not reached the maximum height of that seat post though. Okay, let's take a look at the handlebar. Nice. This is a tall bike. This is good. I like the seat up high. I can feel those front shocks already. So it seems like I'm either looking at the controllers or I'm looking at the screen because they're pointed at different angles. I can probably adjust both of them. I can probably adjust all these things. I think I want the screen angled up. Yeah, it looks like it easily angles. So I want to adjust the handlebars so that the brakes are easy to grab and the gears and the controllers are easy to access. Gotta make sure it's centered also. Okay, so you can also adjust the seat position forward or backwards. So right now it's right about in the middle. I'm probably going to need it back a little bit, but I'm going to ride with it and see how it feels. Okay, so next is the optional rear rack, this guy. And I think, since I am planning on riding longer distances, I'm going to want to carry some stuff. I could carry things in a backpack, but it'd be nice to just strap a bag onto that. So I am going to install that. So that's going to go there and there. The screws are already in it, so I just loosen those screws. Okay, it looks like most or all of the remaining hardware is for the front fender and headlight. But it's not super clear what goes where. Okay, so the fender is going to go on with the metal stays coming from the back. Those are going to hook on right here, I'm assuming, with the small Allen wrench screws. Okay, I'm just going to get those on and then I'll tighten them. Really close quarters in here. Alright, so here's some of the leftover hardware that's going to be used for the front fender and headlight. Let's see, we have a long screw that's Phillips head. We have a long screw that's hex. We have a nylon hex bolt, and we have a hex bolt with a flange. And then there's a washer. So I am going to take a guess that the washer goes on the Phillips head screw, and that goes with the hex nut with the flange, and that's going to hold the headlight to the bracket. And then the nylon hex nut with the hex bolt is going to hold the bracket and the fender to the fork of the bike. So let's give that a try. Alright, so I'm going to go with hex bolt through the fender bracket, then through the headlight bracket, then through the fork, and the nylon bolt behind it to hold that in place. Okay, and then I'm going to need a wrench to hold that nut. It's probably going to be metric. It's like a 3/8 will do, because I don't have any metrics right here. It's going to be the second to largest Allen wrench in the kit. It did come with some sockets, so maybe that would serve me better. You just can't use the socket and the Allen wrench at the same time, unless you're just holding the socket on. 10mm. Okay, that seems to be tight. Off of the headlight. No, the wire's going to go above the fork. And that's also going to need one of the sockets to hold in place while I use a large Phillips head screwdriver to tighten it. Okay, that's also the 10mm. Let's see if this Phillips head will do. So I'm feeling this headlight is going to bounce around a lot unless you really squeeze it. And you need actually a bigger Phillips head to tighten it. Okay, and then this plugs into the one cord that's hanging. Okay, I think I want to go up where all the other cords are and probably strap that in with the Velcro. Alright, so this is going to use the 8mm socket and one of the Allen wrenches. Not really an easy way to hold that socket. Just have to really squeeze it. This side's even tighter. Just barely fits in there. Yeah, that's going to need like a pliers. Alright, so I'm just going to squeeze that bolt and tighten it. So we're left with two pieces that are not in the instructions and are not obvious where they go. So the little L bracket, I've read, some Himiway user groups, is an extra bracket for the front fender. So I don't see anywhere that is needed right now. So we're going to save that. And then the kind of U-shaped bracket is said to be a guard for the rear right derailleur. So that is going to go on these two screws right here. I think the brake line probably goes inside the U-bracket. That should be complete. And I have not charged the battery yet. It might already have a charge, but I'm going to turn this sucker on and let's see. Now there are some zip ties that it comes with, it, and I'm thinking those are to secure some of the wires, such as the wire for the tail light, which is just hanging loose right now. All right, I'm going to turn it on for the first time. Power button is right here. Hold it down for a couple seconds. Looks like it's a full battery. Has 0.3 miles on its odometer already. So I just really want to give this a try right now. So I'm not going to bother throwing on bike shorts, bike shoes. I'll put a helmet on and I'm just going to take it for a spin around the block, and then I'm going to figure out how to program the electronics here. Here I go. That was a fun first ride. What I noticed immediately is once I started pedaling, it took off. So be careful of that because it's set to activate pedal assist right away as soon as you start pedaling. So it didn't take off super fast, but it started the motor. And then as I was pedaling, it just made it so much easier to pedal because it's a heavy bike. So you probably most of the time do need at least a little pedal assist. Because it's such a heavy bike, the braking is a little harder than I'm used to with my mountain bike. So I'm used to, squeezing the brakes and the bike comes to a stop. Here, it takes a little while. It's more like braking a car because the bike is so heavy. There's the bell. So I did also notice that my posture is different than it is on a normal mountain bike. Because this is really, it's a cruiser, so I am really seated back in a more comfortable style than that forward-leaning like I am on a normal mountain bike. Another thing to realize is that the throttle is right on the handlebar. So if you accidentally twist your hand, it's going to take off, it's going to throttle. Now you deactivate the throttle and the pedal assist by hitting the brakes. So also when I stopped pedaling, it stopped with the pedal assist. Last thing that was part of the setup that I didn't do yet was to finish filling the tires with air. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to park it for a little while and then have some more fun on it later.